We have a working game, we have working audio, we have this nice chat overlay, can move around, and the background of the chat bubbles are perfectly. So today we want to set up advanced OBS setup with many features, and we do it from scratch. So you can see here your normal preview window, and on the left side you can see the vertical preview window, which you will get from the add-on Atom. The link is in the description. On the right hand side you can see something like the scenes, but it's a scene tree. It's also a plugin which allows you to create folders. That's very helpful. Link is also in the description. And you can see I can switch between scene tree and vertical scenes. Same goes for the sources. I have the sources and the vertical sources, and I have the downstream keyer. Downstream keyer is also a plugin which allows you to put a scene in there and it will be active all the time. Regardless of the scene in which you are, the scene that's in the downstream keyer will be always on. So it's super useful to put your audio and your webcam in it. Then we have the controls to start the stream and manage it. The audio mixer, super useful. And when something goes wrong and you need further informations, I also put the stats in here. So let's create the webcam first. Go to scene tree, add a new scene. I would call it subscene because it's not an actual scene which we will nest in our main scene later. It's just a subscene which will be nested into the scene, which then will be nested into the main scene later, if that makes sense. But subscene is too long of a word, as I found out, so I will reduce it to only SS and call it subscene cam. Create a new source, video capture device, choose your cam, uncheck the source because we will never touch it. It's just our input from which we will clone our other sources, which we will alterate then. So create a new source, source clone. It's again a plugin, link is in the description. Source clone is too long of a word, so we reduce it to SC, source clone, and we call it source clone cam mask. Because we will alterate this scene to be used as a mask on the actually scene which we will use for the cam. Clone type source, clone, choose your video capture device, uncheck audio, click OK, right click on it, filters, add a new filter, advanced mask, link is also in the description again, reduce it to advanced mask, crop left, change mask type to gradient, fiddle around with it until it fits. You don't have to do it if your complete cam is covered in the green screen, but that's not the case for me and I don't want accidentally to show something of my room, so I just covered this up. Let's repeat that for the top and for the bottom. Duplicate it, rename it. So chances are you would never do that. So now we add a new filter, and that's my little secret, add color correction. And we increase the contrast, increase the saturation, decrease gamma. So we get something horrible looking like this. But that's perfect to key and we won't see it later. So now we can add the key, add a new filter, chroma key, uncheck it, then go to color key type. And instead of green, choose custom color, select color, pick screen color. And now you can choose any color on your screen. So you will click on your green screen. Click OK. So now it's keying out from the perfect color, which is exactly what you will see later. Check the chroma key again. Reduce similarity, smoothness, and color spill correction or a reduction to 1. And now you start fiddling around with it. You have to adjust this from time to time, depending on your lighting setup. Right now, I have brightness coming in through my windows and I know when it's dark outside I have to change this. But if you have a perfect environment and your lighting is always the same, you never have to actually adjust this again. So close it, uncheck it, create a new source clone again, source clone, cam. Clone type source. For the clone again, choose the capture device, which is not edited, uncheck audio, click OK, right click it, filter. Add a new filter, advanced mask, call it advanced mask. I know it's a stupid name, but that's how it is. Mask type, source. And for the source, we choose this source clone cam mask, which we just created. As you can see, it's similar to keying, but now we are just using the mask, and we can adjust the mask, and we can alterate this scene now in colors and something else without interfering with the keying. So let's add a LUT, add a color correction, and add a keyer. So chroma key, and we need that for the despill option. So now we fiddle around with the similarity and the color spill reduction, so it doesn't spill all the screen color on us. That's before, that's after. Before, after. So the webcam is ready now, and you will create a new source clone for this, for the vertical setup, or for every other scene. But that's your main scene. That's the reason why it's in this full screen mode. You can reduce the size and the positioning of source clones of this scene, but this is the scene which you will use for everything. So we can uncheck this again. Create a new source clone. Source clone cam horizontal clone, but this time we choose the source clone cam. Uncheck audio again, click OK. Now we can transform this to our likings. For example, decrease the size and put it in the corner. As you can see now, when I move outside of the screen, you can't see me again. We can fix that. So let's go back to the cam. That's this scene. Right click on it, filters, and add the face tracker filter, which is also a plugin. Link is in the description. Then go to the setting, scale max, and reduce it to 1.5 or something like this. So it's always showing most of you, but when you move around, you can see it will readjust. So let's uncheck this and go back to our horizontal source clone. And now I'm in this corner, but when I move, it will try to keep me on the same position. That's really nice, I think. So that's it for the webcam. For the audio, we create a new scene, call it subscene again, audio, click OK, and add the application audio capture beta. It's also a plugin, link is in the description. We call it audio game. So we can change this when we switch to another game. Click OK and choose the window which you want, and that's the thing you have to change when you switch your game. I don't have a game running currently, so I can't do that. Click OK. And when I go to the audio mixer, you can see the audio mixer for this audio input. Again, application audio capture, call it audio, for example, Spotify, because that's my main source for my music. The copyright-free playlists from Harris Hiller or Stream Beats are super awesome. Check them out. It's free. Click OK. And then for the window, choose your Spotify. Click OK. And when I now start this player, you can see in the audio mixer that it's picking up the audio from Spotify. Add a new source again, audio input capture. And now we have to choose our mic. I call it Yeti. And I have a little problem because it's running over G-Hub, and G-Hub is making patches to this constantly. And every time it's putting out a new patch, I have to come back here and choose the device again. So keep that in mind. If you have a Logitech or Blue audio device and it keeps failing you, maybe that's the problem. So I have now set up my audio for my game, for my music, for my voice. And I have a special thing. It's a little creature sitting in my scene, and it will read out loud my chat. So I have to add this also. And I do that also via the application audio capture. I call it again audio, and it's called Fluffchin. And then I have to choose the window accordingly again. Let me change this Yeti X to audio Yeti X so it's consistent. That's the audio done. So now how can we put the audio and the cam in the same scene? Create a new scene. I call it scene overlay. Click OK. And now in the scene overlay, click on add and add scene. We add the subscene cam and we add the subscene audio. Now we have the webcam and the audio in the same scene. That's what we call nested scenes. And we can now put this scene overlays into our downstream keyer, so it will be staying on top all the time. We are always hearing our music and our voice, and we can see the webcam. So let's go to downstream keyer. Again, links in the description. Click on add, and it added the scene overlay. Why did it not show a menu where we can choose the scene? It's always adding the scene which you have chosen in your scene tree. So now let's create the glass chat bubbles. So we go to Stream Elements and you search for chat bubbles by say tree. When you click on it, you get the settings. Click on the settings, and I will show you my settings now so you can stop when you want. In animations and lifetimes, hide bubbles after this time and set it to 0 so they don't hide. This is important when you set them up. You can later change this to whatever you like. And custom colors is where the magic comes in. Set the custom border, name box, and the background to the RGB 0255 0. Click on save, copy the link, go back, add a new source, add a new browser source, add the URL, change the width and the height to your recording or streaming resolution. Click OK. Hide it, create a source clone of it. For the clone, choose browser chat, uncheck audio, click OK, hide that again. We just have to do this because there's a little bug where it's always showing the green of the green screen, and never mind that. So uncheck it again, create a new source clone and clone this source clone browser chat that we just made. Uncheck audio, click OK, send in some test messages by going to this setup scene in Stream Elements, go all to the top and send messages under preview. Go back to OBS, and now we can see them in here. Right click on the chat text, filters, and now we add a chroma key. Deactivate it, custom color, select color, pick color screen, click on it, OK, and reactivate it. Fiddle around with it to your likings. When we add the background, it will be easier. So just leave it as it is for now. And a new source clone, it's the chat background. For the clone, we choose the main scene, scene main. Uncheck audio, OK. Right click on it, filters, advanced mask, mask type, source. And for the source, we choose the source clone browser chat. So now we see the main scene, everything we will put in the main scene, and then the chat will be over this main scene. So it's independent of whatever we put in the main scene. Everything that's in the main scene will be behind the chat, and we get this nice glass effect. Right click on it again, and now we add some filters to it. Add a new filter, composite blur. It's also a plugin, link is in the description. And let's blur it a bit. But as you can see, the corners are getting blurred as well. We don't want that. We can fix that by reordering those layers here, and we put the mask below the composite blur, and now we have some nice edges. We could even increase the radius, something like this, but now it's too saturated for being behind the glass wall. So let's add in a new filter, color correction, put that on top of the mask as well, and increase the brightness and the gamma. And reduce the contrast a little bit and reduce the saturation a little bit, and then close. Now we have to make sure that the text is on top of the background, of course. Now we add those chat bubbles to our overlay scene, which is in the downstream keyer. For me, that's working because I'm always in the main scene. If you're not working always with the main scene, you have to nest it some other way, but you will figure that out. So I go back to my overlays, add a new scene, and I add the sub-scene chat. Click OK, and now I have my chat here in the downstream keyer as well. But now I have to move it below the cam, so it's behind me. And when I now go back to the main scene, you can see this effect in action. I think that's pretty neat, but something is missing. Shadows. We need more shadows. So we add shadows to our webcam and to our chat here as well. So what we do is we right click on the subscene for the cam, add filters. When this window is open, we can go back to the main scene, and now we can see in the preview what we are doing. We're adding a new shadow, link is in the description, it's also a plugin. And when you add shadows, you have to consider your light source in your real life. So my light is coming from there, so the shadow have to go in this direction. It can't be in this direction because this would suck. So let me increase the size a little bit, decrease the intensity and move it further away from me. So it's just a subtle effect. That's before, that's after. It's not too much. If it's too much, it's always looking ugly. Let me tell you that. Close. And let's do the same thing for the chat. And since this is glass, light shines through. So the shadow can't be too harsh. So we soften it up a little bit. Not so much like in the cam, because it's closer to the actual screen than we are. So the shadows have to be sharper. But we decrease the intensity way down because much of the light is coming through. So that's the before, that's the after. It's just a little tiny detail that helps selling the effect. So if you have other overlays you want to use, you can put them all into your scene overlays. I have some more, so let me show you what I mean. I go back to my stream elements, go to my streaming tools, overlays, and I have this neat chat leaderboard here. It's also by Satri. This is tracking how much everyone is chatting in the live stream and is ranking them. I find that very neat. So I click on those little dots, copy the URL, create a new subscene, call it chat ranks, create a new source, a new browser source, click OK, add in the URL, customize the width and the height to my streaming resolution, and that's it. Satri was so nice to put previews in each of his things, so we can toggle the preview here, so we can see it here, and we also can see it in our OBS. And it's not where I want it to be. I have three options now. I could move it around directly in OBS. I could move it around here, or what I prefer to do because it allows me to animate it. Just right click on the browser source, filters, add, advanced mask. I call it position. And now I can move it around by going all to the bottom, and we check scene view transformation. And now we can transform this X position and the Y position. So for example, I want it to be up there when it's shown, but I don't want to show it all the time. So how can we animate? Add a new filter again, and we add a move value. It's also a plugin and the link is in the description. I call it move value in, filter, advanced mask position, single setting, and the position X is what I want to animate. Custom duration, 1 second. So 1000 milliseconds, easing function, back, so it comes out and bounces back. I will show you that. And you click on get value. So it gets this actually value which it has right now. So it's on the perfect spot. Now go back to your filter, advanced mask position, and change the X position where it's not seen. Create a new filter, move value, call it out or whatever you like. Filter, advanced mask position, single setting, position X, it's automatically getting the corresponding value in this moment. Custom duration, again, 1 second. I choose back again. And now when I activate this filter, it will move in, boom, and move out. Now we can combine those two filters together, so we don't have to use StreamerBot to animate them. So we go into move value 1, go all to the bottom, and for next move, we choose move value out. So it will move in and automatically move out again. But we want to see it. We can do that by increasing the end delay. Put it to whatever the time is you want to show this chat ranking on the screen. Maybe 15 seconds. So 15,000 milliseconds. For demonstration, I put in 2000. So we don't have to wait 15 seconds. So it stayed 2 seconds and then it moved away. So I put that to maybe 30 seconds. And now I only have to trigger this once in a while. How you do that, I will show you later. You could use StreamerBot or Advanced Scene Switcher. Both very useful programs. So let's close this. Now we add this to the overlay. So we go to Scene Overlay and add a scene, subscene, chat ranks. And you get the idea. That's how you nest everything together. So you have a subscene for each thing you want to do. So you can find it easily and you can customize it easily without interfering with anything else. Everything has its own subscene in which you can customize it to your likings. So how can you show it from time to time? Go to Tools and go to Advanced Scene Switcher. That's another plugin and link is also in the description. I like to do it with Advanced Scene Switcher because it has nothing to do with the chat. Everything that has to do with the chat I do with StreamerBot because StreamerBot can read the chat of YouTube or Twitch. But everything else that has nothing to do with the chat I will do with Advanced Scene Switcher so it stays right in OBS. You get this general view and here you can start it and you can check conditions every 300 milliseconds. You can put that to 500 milliseconds. So it will watch every 500 milliseconds if it has to do something. If you reduce that to 0, it will lag a lot. So don't do that. If you don't have the resources for it, you could even put it to 5 seconds or something like that. So every 5 seconds it will check if it has to do something. I will use that a lot with my program called where you can have the game trigger things in this Advanced Scene Switcher and so trigger some overlays in your stream. But that's in this video here. Go to macros, create a new macro by clicking on this green blinking plus sign down below. We call it chat ranking. It looks a little bit confusing, but trust me, it's not. There's a plus sign in the middle and the plus sign on the bottom. The plus in the middle is for the condition. When should it trigger? And the plus on the bottom is what should it do? And the plus on the left is a new macro. So we add a new trigger like in StreamerBot. And instead of scene, we choose timer. So now we can set up a timer. Duration may be every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes, it triggers whatever I put down below here. So I add something. I don't want to switch scenes, but I want to activate the filter, which moves in the chat ranking. So let's choose filter, choose the source, browser chat ranks, enable, move value in. I don't have to do anything else because I linked move value in automatically to move value out. And I can now test this by clicking on run macro. And as you can see, it moved in this chat ranking and after 30 seconds it will automatically move them out because I linked move value in to move value out. So I don't have to do anything else. That's how you can animate almost everything. Audio, visuals, everything that has a slider you can animate with move value. It's super duper awesome. Thank you, Exceldro. And you see, it moved out automatically without me doing anything. Now let me do that again for my latest sub and tips. That's the most basic thing. It's just showing my latest subscribers and my latest tipper. I made it bold so the text quality stays good when I shrink it down or enlarge it. Copy the URL, go back to OBS, create a new subscene, add a new source, browser, put in the URL, put in the width. You know the drill by now. And there it is. Big and bold, not what we want. So right click on it, add a new filter, add an advanced mask, go all to the bottom, see view transformation. And as you can see, it cut the text. Or you can fix it with width and height. Just increase it so you can see everything. But now it's way too big. But I don't want to shrink this window at all. I just want it to be smaller and I can do that with this zoom slider here. 40% looks good. Now adjust the slider to where I want to show it. Now that's too big also, maybe 30%. Yeah, that's way better. So again, that's the position I want to show it in. Add a new filter, move value, I call it move value in, filter, position, single setting, X position, get values automatically picked, 1 second. And delay, maybe 15 seconds this time. Easing function, sine. I don't want it to bounce, I just want to slide it in. Then add a new move value filter. Call it out. Filter, position, single setting, settings, x coordinates. And now you see the move value is not the correct one. It's the same one as here. So I go to my advanced mask position, go to the bottom, move it out of the screen, go back to my move value out and click get value. And now it has the value from the position where it's not seen. Set it to 1 second maybe, also to sine. And now I can again go to move value in, go all to the bottom and set the next move to move value out. And now it will move in, and after 15 seconds it will move out. I can show you that. Let me just change this to 2 seconds so we don't have to wait so long. It's moving in, waits 2 seconds, moving out. So again, we do that by going to Tools, Advanced Scene Switcher, creating a new macro, latest sub-tip, create a new trigger, timer again, maybe each 12 minutes. So it's not the same timer as in chat ranking. This one has 10 minutes, this one has 12 minutes. When you set it both to the same timer, it will always move in at the same time. That can be a little bit jarring. So what should it do? It should activate a filter on browser latest subtips enable move in. We can test that. It's moving it in. It's now waiting a little bit because we linked the move in to the move out after, what was it, 15 seconds or something like this. Let's wait for it. There it is. Working perfectly. And you can do that with everything you want. I find that very, very neat. So that's what we have right now. We have a working game. We have working audio. We have this nice chat overlay. I can test it again. So let's get back to our chat bubbles here. Settings, preview, send in some new messages. There they are. And you can see it's just a blurry background. You can move around and the background of the chat bubbles are perfectly fitting into the screen. Isn't that nice? I like that a lot. And now there's a special thing we can do. It's like magic. When I open this menu, because I'm on the 20x9 screen, you can't see those menus. But I wrote a program which will help fixing that. It will detect that I opened that menu. It will cut out these windows and project them in here so you can see them. How can you do that? Watch this video to check out. Bye bye.